Should you be worried about A1 steak sauce stealing your job? Well, we're gonna get down to the bottom of it. Happy Friday, Carnies, and welcome to the Daily Carnage Show. I'm Shannon, I'm a digital marketing strategist at Carney, and I'm your host. So grab your coffee and let's get started. Okay, so last week was the ASU GSV Summit. It's a collaboration between Arizona State University and Global Silicon Valley, and it's a major gathering of leaders in the education and tech spaces. But the reason it's noteworthy this year is because U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon joined a panel to discuss AI's role in shaping the future workforce. And while delivering her remarks, she repeatedly referred to AI as A1, as in the steak sauce, saying things like, "Let's see how A1 can be helpful," and praising A1 teaching in early education. And let's get one thing straight. As a professional writer myself, I have the personal policy that I never clown someone for mispronouncing a word they've clearly only read before and never heard pronounced. That's just good manners. But I think we can all agree that when we're talking about artificial intelligence in the classroom, you kind of have to get it right because there's just so much at stake. And just like that, A1 steak sauce was thrust into the national spotlight. And things have been pretty quiet for A1. They haven't had a ton of splashy campaigns recently, but their social team really stepped up to the plate here, responding with an Instagram post that read, "Agree, best to start them early." With the caption, "You heard her, every school should have access to A1. So everyone thank A1 for providing us a lighthearted intermission from the perpetual fear that Chad GPT is coming for our jobs. Everybody loves an SNL spoof commercial. For civilians, their peak observational humor. It gives you an opportunity to laugh at advertising, which is a genre of media that you're usually inundated with against your will. But for savvy advertisers, SNL commercials can be a little bit of a barometer for the public's awareness of and taste for different advertising tropes that are popular at the moment. And last week, SNL aired a spoof ad for a product called Flamin' Hot Preparation H, which is a would-be fictional collaboration between PepsiCo's Flamin' Hot recipe and, of course, the hemorrhoid cream, Preparation H. In the parody ad, Jack Black is joined by Chester Cheetah, who's the Cheetos mascot, to introduce this spicy new flavor of Preparation H, which is rated at 20,000 Scoville units because, quote, "You gotta fight fire with fire." Okay, so why is this funny beyond just the punchline and the delivery? Because it's real, or at least it feels real. These zany, unlikely brand collabs have been having like a 2-year-long moment because they create a ton of social buzz and they unlock different audiences for each brand involved. It's a way to demonstrate that you're paying attention to the moment and that you're part of the cultural zeitgeist. And we cover them for the Daily Carnage all the time because they're just fun disruptions to the usual advertising news cycle. The point is you get a lot of earned media. And to be clear, I'm not referring to those intuitive brand collabs that make perfect sense for both brands and appeal to a larger audience than just the loyal few. I'm talking about things like Chipotle working with Wonder Skin for Lipotle lip stains. Or that time that Flamin' Hot actually did work with Alamar Cosmetics to create Flamin' Hot makeup. Or Elf Beauty working with Liquid Death for corpse paint coffin-shaped makeup kits. Or the time Velveeta worked with Nails Inc. to create cheese-scented nail polish. Or the Dunkin' and Scrub Daddy collab. I could really go on. The point is that everybody's doing it. And if audiences begin to expect the unexpected, it doesn't feel disruptive. It doesn't feel surprising. It doesn't feel original anymore. It feels formulaic. You don't get excited thinking about the brief or the brainstorm session because it starts to feel like marketers are just using a randomized collaboration generator and just picking whatever's going to be the best headline. And marketers have figured out that we don't even really need to ship a real product anymore. All you need are some clever assets from design and a coordinated social post to get the same effect. For example, in our last episode, we covered all of the viral April Fool's brand collabs, most of which will never see the light of day because they had their intended moment. We were talking about them. What all of this adds up to is that our collective threshold for being surprised and delighted by shock campaigns is just getting higher and higher. So when this trope makes it all the way to an SNL spoof, it's not just a gag. It's a little bit of a mirror. And this week, Die-Line published a piece about this possibly being a sign of consumer fatigue. And as we do every day, I polled our Daily Carnage newsletter subscribers, and we found that 39% of marketers, the majority, feel that it's probably time to take a break on the zany brand collabs until it feels fresh again. 32% of marketers say, this is just good, clean fun. there's no reason to stop now. And 29% of marketers feel that we should just leave this tactic in the past. All that said, I probably will be trying the new Miller Lite Pringles flavors this summer. You think I'm gonna miss out on beer can chicken flavored potato crisps? You overestimate me. And speaking of trends, if all of your social feeds are starting to look like a toy store, that's because the AI generated action figure trend is totally taking over. People are using ChatGPT to turn themselves into blister packaged avatars that come with unique accessories related to their career or their hobbies. The trend started on LinkedIn, so it had a sort of corporate flavor. Like if you were a TikTok creator, your accessories would be a tripod and a ring light. But the trend is now across all platforms and all audiences. And now artists and illustrators are pushing back. Because as we know, these generative AI tools have been trained on real human-made work without much credit or compensation to date. So some folks have responded by riffing on the trend and posting their own unique designs in protest. And whenever there's a new social trend, it's not long until brands begin entering the chat. This week, I actually saw that Michaels, the craft retailer, had shared their own series of action figures that were clearly generated by AI, but they were made to look as though they had been crocheted. And we're talking about Michaels, who has a target audience of a vibrant community of artists and makers. Not to mention, presumably, like a whole creative team behind the scenes that maybe could have designed something from scratch. So it sparked a lot of outrage. Michaels has since deleted the post, and the only reason I know about it is because somebody shared it with us on the Daily Carnage Facebook group, which you should totally join if you want to see these brand moments before they disappear forever from the archive. And for better or worse, this is not the first or the last of the AI-generated trends. If you remember, last month when OpenAI released a new version of ChatGPT that could generate images in a specific visual style, the Studio Ghibli trend spread like wildfire. People quickly realized that they could use ChatGPT to transform ordinary photos into Studio Ghibli style scenes. So soft color palettes, hand-drawn textures, a recreation of the nostalgic, magical feel that you would get from a project like Spirited Away. Suddenly, social media feeds were flooded with Ghiblified pets, weddings, family portraits, even like historic photos. And as with all things human and AI, it devolved. We had people Ghiblifying 9/11, Ghiblified Trump, Hitler, and then the White House jumped on the bandwagon with an AI-generated image of a deported Dominican woman crying in shackles in Studio Ghibli style. And then the fun was over. We started talking a little bit more about intellectual property. The New York Times got involved. Needless to say, all of this had been done without Studio Ghibli's permission. I am not an AI or an IP expert, or an A1 expert for that matter, but my recommendation on these AI trends that proliferate and die is that if you're working for a brand, maybe don't participate. We're still in a moral gray area with all of this. And by participating, you are making a statement on where you stand on behalf of the entire organization. But if you do want to participate, use your graphic designers, your illustrators, your creatives to bring something new to the trend. But remember, and this is important, you can always just don't. Okay, as a palate cleanser, BritBox, which is a TV subscription platform for British content, recently created a 14-hour time lapse. It's meant to showcase the history of filmmaking techniques and all of the human power that goes into them. And what sets it apart is that it was all filmed in one continuous shot. We're talking about all of this work for one shot that took almost 15 hours to shoot, 11 different sets, countless creatives and technicians, all sped up to just 90 seconds, where we see an actress transitioning through 4 distinct characters and genres, all while her elaborate costuming and makeup and sets change around her. The campaign is by Uncommon Creative Studio, and it's really a love letter to filmmaking and craftsmanship, and it serves as the antithesis of, an antidote to, all of the AI-generated advertising that we're seeing today. But we're not done talking about AI yet. So recently in a Daily Carnage internal meeting, one of our developers shared with us the concept of vibe coding. And it's essentially a style of coding where developers let go of traditional coding practices and let AI do all of the heavy lifting. So the idea is that instead of writing every line of code and then debugging it manually, developers and even laymen can use AI assisted tools. So Cursor, GitHub Copilot, OpenAI's Codex, or Google's new Firebase Studio to generate and refine code in real time. So similar to AI chatbots, it's a conversational process where you type a prompt, AI suggests some code, you can tweak things here and there, and you're able to interact with and demo the product very quickly. So of course, this approach is especially appealing to people who aren't professional coders, maybe beginners learning to code or entrepreneurs who need to get things done fast. But I think it also could be good for a curious marketer who wants to test out an idea before bringing it to a dev team. But keep in mind while you're vibe coding that AI generated code always has the potential to be buggy, insecure, or just not optimized, which is fine for prototyping, but we're still going to have to rely on developers for larger and more complex applications. We could see non-technical creators participating in the software development space. We may start to see a really fundamental shift in how software and websites are made. And I offer you this, one many-hatted marketer to another. Okay, finally moving on from AI. Chili's has launched a pop-up experience called fast food financing. So I don't know if you've been to a drive-thru lately, but the prices are increasing and the food is shrinking. So Chili's has erected a pop-up right beside a McDonald's, mimicking the look of a payday loan shop where you can go and get a gift card to cover your fast food expenses. And this is all to promote Chili's new Big QP burger, which is a rival to McDonald's Quarter Pounder, but has 85% more beef. And it's a perfect execution. It's got all this garish, almost predatory copy in the windows, like, now you can eat like a trillionaire. You know, it's a funny joke, but it also speaks directly to the terror of living in dystopia that we're all feeling right now. I'm filing this one under brands that respond in appropriate and self-aware ways to what we will probably call the terrible 20s, which is a perfect segue into Easter. Story time. In the 90s, when I was just a wee millennial, we would actually dye real chicken eggs, like dozens of them, in cups of vinegar and food coloring. I don't know why we did this. I guess it was to please the Easter bunny, but even that didn't stop him from breaking into our houses every year, so I don't know. The point is, times have changed. In this economy, nobody is dyeing eggs for Easter. What am I, a billionaire? And Jet Puffed, the brand that makes marshmallows, had incredible foresight. They've probably been doing some social listening over the past few months and realized that folks are trying to come up with alternatives to dyeing eggs for Easter, because just in time, they've come out with a budget-friendly kit that allows you to dip and decorate a dozen marshmallows for just $1.99. You get 6 colors, you get miniature tongs, decorating pens, and you even get the 24-ounce bag of extra large marshmallows to decorate. All of that for less than the price of a dozen eggs. Are we gonna go back to eggs after this? Marshmallows make so much sense. Occult Easter traditions aside, kids just love marshmallows way more than they do hard-boiled eggs. And thanks to Jet Puffed, we may very well be entering a new era. Jet Puffed for the people. It is finally time for an ad from the past, and today's is brought to you by the M&M and Mars brand from 1971. Okay, what we have here is a standard Easter basket. There's M&Ms, there's Munch bars, there's Snickers, Mars bars, Three Musketeers, Milky Way, bunch of plastic eggs, Satan's Easter grass, all the good stuff. And our hero text is a proposition. You buy our candy for Easter, we buy your eggs. That means in 1971, if you bought any 2 bags of M&M Mars brand candies and filled out this little slip at the bottom of the ad and sent it to M&M Mars with your 2 empty bags, M&M Mars would return to you a coupon for 50 cents off fresh eggs. So my question from 2025 is, Mars, what the heck are you doing? You have the opportunity to do the funniest thing. You have limited time, but you can revive this 1971 ad and adjust this offer for inflation. Throw this up on social media and win Easter. I beg of you. It's brilliant. I live in 2025. I have absolutely no idea why this offer made sense in 1971, but I can tell you there's never been a better time than now. Can somebody airdrop this real quick to the CMO of Mars? And that wraps it up this week for the Daily Carnage. Thanks so much for joining me. I'd love it if you rated our show, liked and subscribed across all of our socials where you can find us at the Daily Carnage. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Carnage newsletter where we share tactics, tools, news, culture, campaigns, and vintage ads every day of the work week. So until next time, I'll see you in the inbox. Have a good weekend, Carnies.